Hello everyone, Joel here. Let's be honest, we've all been there. It's 2 a.m. in the morning, your hand is cramping, your eyes are burning, and you are currently clicking the same digital pile of loot for the 14th hour in a row. If you're watching this, you're either looking for your next Diablo killer or you just enjoy the masochistic pleasure of theory crafting builds until your brain turns into mush. Well, the good news is the genre isn't dead yet, which means there are more new and upcoming games still being cooked and served in the near future. And to satisfy your delicate interest, this time we will cover another new and upcoming ARPGs that you need to have on your radar. Some look like absolute masterpieces, and some, well, they might just give us a new excuse to ignore our real-life responsibilities. Before we go into the list, I want to give you my recommendation for some of the best deals in instant gaming right now, especially if you're tight on budget. We knew that instant gaming always give us so many crazy deals for your favorite games, like these titles for example. I mean, can you believe these prices? If you love RPGs, there's no way you never heard of these masterpieces, and to think that you can get them under $10 or even $5, it's an absolute steal. All you have to do is just click my link in the description below, start searching for your favorite games and use the activation code on your chosen platform. By using my link, you're not only saving tons of money, but also helping me to support this channel. Alright then, let's get back into the list. Let's start with something that looks calm. Land of Glarefall throws you into a world where daytime feels like a peaceful checklist, and nighttime feels like a bad life decision. You play as a royal investigator chasing this mysterious black gold, which of course attracts monsters, because in games like this, nothing good ever comes from shiny resources. During the day, you're exploring, gathering, and building like a responsible Chad. But then night hits, and suddenly it's tower defense panic mode. Walls go up, mercenaries get hired, and you start questioning every choice you made that led you here. What makes it stand out is how dynamic the gameplay is. You can build defenses like a strategist or just power up your hero and go full John Wick mode if you want. Either way, survival depends on planning ahead, because once night falls, the game stops being nice. Now let's switch gears to something more dreadful. Ashbound Crown of Sin feels like that one game that quietly watches you mess up, then punishes you for it repeatedly. Right from the start, combat isn't about spamming skills and hoping for the best. Instead, it's fast, tight, and honestly a bit demanding. You miss your timing, you get hit. Simple as that. What really sells it though is how smooth everything flows. You're chaining melee strikes into spells, dodging like your life depends on it, and slowly building a fighting style that actually feels like yours, not some preset build. Meanwhile, the world itself is falling apart. Corruption is everywhere, people are barely holding on, and even the friendly faces feel one bad day away from turning on you. Imagine waking up in a dungeon. No gear, no plan, and absolutely no friendly NPC waiting to give you a quest. Blood and Dungeon keeps things simple in the best way possible. You're a captured soldier, and the only goal is to get out alive. No big prophecy, no chosen one nonsense, just pure survival and a strong "I really don't want to die here" energy. As you push deeper, the game leans into that tense, claustrophobic feeling. Every corner might hide a patrol, every door needs a key, and every step could land you straight into a trap. It's the kind of place where even opening a door feels like a risky decision. Combat is more grounded too, forcing you to think before swinging instead of going full chaos mode. Meanwhile, finding better gear slowly turns you from helpless prisoner into someone who might actually stand a chance. Astera throws you into a steampunk world where everything feels a bit chaotic, but in a good way. Right away, the combat hits you with that smooth, rapid pace where standing still is basically asking to get destroyed. So naturally, you're dashing around, chaining abilities, and trying to look cool while barely surviving. What intrigued me the most though is the dual class system. You're not stuck being just one thing. Instead, you mix classes together, which means your build can go from simple warrior to something completely unpredictable. And yes, some combinations will probably break the game. Then the game casually adds roguelike dungeons on top, so every run feels different, just in case you thought you had things under control. And if solo isn't your thing, you can bring friends, which usually means chaos, but at least it's shared chaos. What will you do if a game ever decided to randomize everything and then fully committed to it? Abyss Delvers is built around that idea, and honestly, it doesn't hold back. Campaigns, dungeons, loot, pretty much everything shifts around, so you're never really sure what kind of mess you're walking into next. One run feels manageable, the next one suddenly turned into a disaster, and now you're fighting for your life, wondering where it all went wrong. That being said, you still have some control to cling into. You're shaping your build through skill trees, tweaking abilities with runes, and even stealing powers from bosses like it's completely normal behavior. And if things get too overwhelming, you can bring up to 5 friends along, which sounds helpful, until everyone starts panicking at the same time. This one starts with a simple idea. Isles of Krom drops you into a grim world where you're not just playing a hero, you're basically managing a lineup of future sacrifices. Yeah, it's that kind of game. You send your wards into dangerous islands, hoping they come back with loot, but also fully expecting they might not come back at all. The twist here is the extraction system. You dive into these hostile zones, fight through brutal enemies, grab whatever you can, and then make the very important decision: leave now with what you have or risk it all for more. And let's be honest, most players will get greedy. So imagine if Diablo and God of War had a pixelated baby raised by Odin himself. That's Gimle the Broken Prophecy. We're thrown into a Norse world that's basically having a post-Ragnarok identity crisis. You play as Brand, a Viking who clearly didn't get the memo that the world ended because he's too busy solving the next apocalypse. The game mixes that classic isometric ARPG style with chunky, satisfying combat where every swing feels like you're personally offending the gods. There's loot everywhere, skill trees thicker than an Yggdrasil branch, and decisions that actually mess with the story. It's gritty, tragic, and kind of beautiful in a strange sort of way.
Only you can defeat Arch-Ludwig.
If you've ever wanted to blast someone across a map with a fireball, smack them with a sword, then accidentally fling yourself off a cliff because physics said nope, Glaurune is your chaotic playground. It's a fast-paced action RPG where you can be a wizard, a warrior, or that sneaky rogue who hides in bushes waiting to ruin someone's day. What makes it shine is how everything reacts. Spells collide, swords clash, and the game just dares you to chain combos until someone rage quits. There's PvP, co-op, class mixing, and even an in-game level editor if you think you can build a better arena than the devs. It's messy, magical, and dangerously addictive, kind of like caffeinated medieval chaos. Alright, so Godforged Origins of Ozgalor isn't your standard swing sword, kill god, credits roll kind of action RPG. It's actually way more dramatic. You're a noble trying to save a kingdom that's falling apart faster than your patience in boss fights. The world of Nelithar looks straight out of a dark fantasy painting, built on Balkan folklore and powered by a corrupted material that literally tempts you to ruin your own soul for extra damage. The combat's tactical, full of rune-infused abilities that make you feel like a magical tank with anger issues, and your choices actually matter, like factions will remember your nonsense. There's castle management, corrupted zones, and party drama intense enough to make every dialogue option feel personal. Imagine if Diablo meets politics meets oops, I accidentally became a god. Yeah, it's that kind of story.
Before I lose myself completely.
What drew you to this madness? And what?
If you've ever woken up in a dark basement with no memory of how you got there, you're already halfway prepared for the vibe of grim Axiom. This indie project from Rare Soup tosses you into a sprawling underground labyrinth that feels like a nightmare version of your storage unit, just with more blood-soaked hallways and significantly more mutated monsters. It's a dark fantasy ARPG that mashes together the classic isometric view of Diablo with the kind of tense, slow-burn combat that makes every corner feel like a potential funeral. You'll spend most of your time juggling melee strikes and magic while dodging floor spikes that seem personally offended by your presence. The environment is actually one of the biggest threats here, featuring creepy ancient machines that are still running long after their creators kicked the bucket. Since the full game doesn't have a release date yet, you should probably just grab the new Steam demo to see if you can survive the subterranean madness. Imagine signing up for a job as a royal guard, only to end up as a pile of cursed dust roaming the Silk Road. In Loulan the Cursed Sand, you play as a skeletal warrior who apparently took the till death do us part vow way too seriously while searching for his lost princess. Most games make you pick a single class, but here you literally switch between being a bag of bones and a sentient sandstorm to solve puzzles or smack enemies into oblivion. It is set in a gorgeous, atmospheric version of ancient China that is honestly a refreshing break from the usual damp European castles we're used to. While the plot is technically a tragic romance, you will mostly be focused on not getting crushed by massive bosses while mastering those creative sand abilities. The melee combat feels heavy and grounded, making every encounter feel like a desperate struggle rather than a mindless click-fest. If you're tired of playing as a generic human hero, this skeletal desert road trip is definitely worth keeping on your radar. Ever feel like you've been ghosted by someone important? Well, in Echoes of Myth, the gods themselves have packed their bags and left you to clean up their mess. This game is a top-down roguelite that treats every run like a tiny, high-stakes ARPG season where you're constantly scavenging for leftover divine relics. The combat isn't about mindless button mashing, meaning if you ignore an enemy's move, you're basically inviting them to delete your health bar. Since healing is about as common as a polite comment on the internet, you have to be smart with your dodges and parries. You'll be choosing between weapons, spells, and those forks of fate that force you to make some pretty sketchy trade-offs for power. The vibe screams Hades meets Diablo after a breakup, with handcrafted biomes, slick boss fights, and that one brutal run where RNG clearly hates you. If you ever thought your neighbor's loud lawnmower was a problem, wait until you see the neighborhood disputes in Helrift. This gritty title basically turns local politics into a full-scale bloodbath by forcing you to pick one of two towns that absolutely despise each other. Instead of being locked into a boring predefined class, you get a classless progression system that lets you mix and match skills until you're a fireball-throwing warrior or whatever chaotic hybrid your heart desires. When you aren't busy bullying the rival faction during massive server-wide events, you can actually settle down for some fishing or mining to fuel the player-driven economy. Since it hits early access in late 2026, you have plenty of time to decide which side you're on. Whenever you hear the phrase former Blizzard employees, you usually expect another dark dungeon crawler, but the veterans behind Darkhaven decided to give us a pickaxe instead of just a sword. Imagine if Diablo 2 and Minecraft had a greedy gothic baby that really enjoyed smashing scenery. Unlike most ARPGs where the environment is just a static background, here you can literally collapse the floor to find secret loot or accidentally drain a lake to uncover a hidden dungeon. It's a wild, procedural sandbox where the developers actually want you to break the game with overpowered items rather than boring you with tiny percentage buffs. While you can technically build bridges and fortifications, the real joy comes from the sheer chaos of leveling a cemetery to the ground. There is a demo out right now on Steam if you want to see if this hybrid experiment is actually genius or just beautifully coordinated madness.
Something that can harness this force.
If you've ever wondered what would happen if the cast of Zootopia survived a steampunk apocalypse, Crystalfall is your answer. Developed by CRG Studio, this free-to-play ARPG trades the usual grizzled knights and robe wizards for anthropomorphic heroes like Birdwoman technosmiths and lion knights. Don't let the fur fool you though, the skill system is a hardcore theory crafter's dream. Abilities are literal loot items that drop from enemies, each featuring its own procedurally generated skill tree. This means your fireball could behave completely differently from your friends based on the skill crest you've installed. While it lacks a Hollywood budget, the price tag of $0 makes this indie underdog a very convincing reason to skip your next Diablo run.
It is our duty to keep order, to keep them in place, and that requires sacrifice.
Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are other games that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your favorites that probably deserve the spot in the comment section below? Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!